Hello and welcome back to part 2. We're going to go ahead and keep working on using our simple shapes to build some of these creations here. So let's go ahead and click and hold on our rectangle tool, and we're going to choose the ellipse tool. And as we drag this out, if you hold the shift key down, you'll notice that again locks it into that proportion. So we're going to go ahead and do that. The shift key, really important. And once again, we're going to grab our selection tool, and you can hold the Alt key down and drag that down, and then we'll flip so that we have a stroke on it. I'm going to crank that up 1 or 2 notches just so we can see it better. So those two are pretty easy, circle and square. Let's go ahead and try the polygon tool. So if I click on that polygon tool, and if I click and drag, it's going to start making, probably for you, a hexagon. In this case, it's a triangle for me, but I'm going to show you how to change that. As soon as you drag it out, if it's the hexagon, here's what you do. There's a little diamond over here, and you can drag this down and change the number of sides that you have on that polygon. So if I go to 6, that's probably what you started out with. You just click on that, drag that up, and you can get your 3 right there. So I can take that triangle, pop that down here, hold my Alt key, and drag that up, and then again flip those colors again. I'm going to go ahead, for the sake of time, just leave the same colors, but I do want you to experiment practicing changing those fill and stroke colors. So let's do that one more time. I'm going to show you another way. You can click once, and then you'll get a pop-up window and it'll ask you, hey, how many sides do you want to have on this polygon? You could do anything as low as 3 and go all the way up to as many as you want. It'll look as close to a circle. So let's choose 6. And we'll go ahead and do that, and it'll pop in that hexagon right there. And again, we can duplicate and flip it back over to stroke. All right, let's keep going here. Let's do our star. We got the star here, a 5-pointed star, and then we've got a 40-pointed star. So 5-pointed star, here we go, star tool. We're going to click once, and let's say here, we're going to do 5. And in terms of the size, radius 1 is going to be the outer and radius 2 is going to be the inner. I know in general it's about, you want about half the distance to get this look. So I just kind of punched in the values 2 and 1 here, and we'll see what that looks like. And that's pretty good. I think the size of that star looks pretty similar. Again, if I hold the shift key down and hit V for the V key, I can move this over here. That looks pretty close. It's a little bit different, but it's not too bad. Now, depending on what version of Illustrator you have, when I have the star tool selected, very similar to the polygon tool, I can actually increase the number of points, decrease the number of points in the star, and you potentially can pull that center radius in or the outer radius as well. But some of you might not have an updated version, so you might not see that option yet, but you will soon. So I'm going to go ahead and take that star, and again, I'm going to skip the duplication process, and let's move right on to this next one here. Let's go ahead and do the 40-pointed star. Same thing. Click once, and this time let's tell it 40 points. We'll hit OK, and we're going to get our 40-pointed star. I'm going to zoom out, it's a little bit large. Shrink this guy in, holding that shift key, V key for selection, and there we go. We now have our 40-pointed star to get that effect. All right, now these last two are going to be a little bit different. There's a number of ways to do these, but I'm going to show you how I would probably approach doing the teardrop and the eye shape here. So let's go ahead and grab our ellipse tool. I'm going to change my color here just to kind of change things up. Let's do like maybe a light green color here. Whoops, I changed my star as well. Let's start with a circle. Okay, and I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to trace this just so that I can see it. So let's go ahead and make a circle about the size that we want. So there's the circle. Now, normally I've been picking the regular selection tool where you grab the whole thing, you can scale it and resize it. In this case, I'm going to select the direct selection tool. That's the white arrow. That's going to allow you to pick specific anchor points. You'll notice there are 4 on here. Now, if I click now, it's still going to move all of them. So what I need to do is I need to click on one, highlight that anchor point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drag it up a little bit. Okay, now that's going to give me that egg shape. And notice that pink line pops up, helps you keep it lined up so you don't go too far one way or the other, so look for that pink line. When you have an anchor point, you get these handles on the edge which start to manipulate the curve that connects those two anchor points. Now I could bring these all the way into the center here and start to get rid of it, but instead what I'm going to do, sorry, there's the bell. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, click on this anchor point. I'm going to go right over here to my properties panel, and you'll notice that I have the convert option. So as soon as I click on that, that's going to make that into a point, which makes it super easy. Okay, so all you got to do is click on that and make it into a point. Let's try the same thing over here with the eyeball shape and see if you can figure it out. I'm going to drag this out, and let's switch this over to a stroke so that we can see what we're doing here a little bit better. We'll thicken it up. Okay, so I have this kind of oblong shape, but I need pointy edges. So I'm going to choose the direct selection tool, and I bet you guess what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on this anchor point, and I can do both at the same time. If I go over to this one and I hold shift, I can pick both of those anchor points, and then I simply go over here and hit convert, and I get that eyeball shape. And there we go. If I want to tighten it up a little bit, I can squeeze it together there, and there we have the eyeball shape. So for these last two, you do need to create the shape and then use the white arrow, the direct selection tool, to be able to hit those anchor points, hit the convert option, and turn it from a curve to a pointed corner. And that, my friends, is how we create all of the basic shapes on sheet 1. Next video, we'll talk about the more complex shapes, and we're going to talk about a couple more tools that we can use in there. So good luck, and I'll see you on the next one.